Almost 130 years ago, Mercedes-Benz put the first car on the road, breaking records, setting new standards, basically reinventing the automobile every single decade.
Now that's a sentiment shared by Mercedes-Benz drivers of every generation.
To see the cars that defined every major era in engineering and design, right next to the cars that are defining the future, is to see the whole Mercedes-Benz story. No car that ever rolled out of Stuttgart, or any factory for that matter, has a more storied past than the legendary 300 SL Gullwing. Now, this car was actually first developed as a race car in the early 50s when it won at Le Mans and a number of other prestigious races. In true Mercedes-Benz form, the 300 SL was among the most reliable and strongest of its time. In fact, many people still race these cars today on some of the toughest courses in the world. Of all the numbers and specs associated with the famous W196 race car, perhaps none are more stunning than the price one of them recently fetched. In fact, at $29,650,095, it is one of the most expensive cars auctioned to date. In the mid-1950s, this was the one to catch at the Grand Prix. And even under the stress of racing with the throttle wide open, there was never a question of its reliability. The 300 SEL 6.8 AMG, also famously known as the Red Pig. This is more than a car. It is a force of nature twice the size of the coupes and sports cars it conquered on the track. The early AMGs were bored out, punched out, and jacked up Mercedes vehicles modified for racing. Today, they are among the most sophisticated performance machines money can buy. In 2013, the Black Swan racing team took to the circuit in this machine, the SLS AMG GT3. Now this car is based off the SLS AMG Black Series coupe that you can drive out of any Mercedes-Benz showroom. If the freeway is too boring, you can always visit your local racing circuit to work on your lap times. Every decade brought us a new SL. It is now at the leading edge of speed and raw power. In fact, the performance credentials on this SL63 AMG that you see here place it in the company of some of the world's fastest. You might think of 4MATIC all-wheel drive as a winter weather thing for traction on slippery roads. In the case of the E63 AMG 4MATIC, that means something a little different. With nearly 600 pound-feet of torque, this engine can absolutely liquefy the car's tires. But with all-wheel drive, all that power simply translates into speed. 0 to 60 in just 3.5 seconds. Just imagine how that will shorten your commute. Introduced in 1979, the G-Class is one of the longest-running Mercedes-Benz productions ever. It was first developed as a military vehicle and is one of the most capable four-wheel drives ever built. Mercedes-Benz took the concept to a whole new level with the G63 AMG 6x6. Limited production, unlimited capability. Probably not something you'll see down at the mall. This is the 600, a truly imposing machine. A car way ahead of its time and still coveted the world over. Just about every world leader was driven in the limo version of this called the Pullman. If you saw one of these cars in the 50s, you were truly looking at the state of the art. This is the Type 300, also known as the Adenauer. A massive grille, big swooping lines, an absolutely premium luxury sedan. No doubt a tremendous presence on the road. The S-Class is not just the flagship of Mercedes-Benz, but the flagship of an entire industry. This is not simply because it's so much more advanced than other cars, but because decade after decade, it has truly been the standard for luxury and for quality. Now this is the 2015 S550. In this car, you can control every aspect of your driving experience. And though this is one of the largest sedans on the road, it will easily outperform cars a fraction of its size. The founding principle on which Mercedes-Benz began simply states the best or nothing. In the case of the S-Class Coupe, one might interpret that as the most beautiful or nothing. This is also the quietest production car in the world in terms of wind noise. There is simply nothing
on the road like this. And to see it up close, it's hard to disagree. Here we are, in the company of $50 million racing legends, six-wheel drive trucks, and cars that have been driven by world leaders and movie stars. And we see another facet to the Mercedes-Benz brand, one of the boldest designs on the road, the CLA. This is all the learning, all the technology, engineering, and experience in a slightly smaller and very aggressive four-door coupe, and proof that the company that invented the car in the late 1800s is inventing the future right now. What's even more amazing is the fact that in everything Mercedes-Benz does, Mercedes-Benz leads.